it's two things. Definitely educating the consumer should be done. And I do think that the Indian government needs to heavily invest in shifting the perception about the handmade itself. Because like Priya said, I think there is, in India at least, the prevailing notion about handmade is that it is old school, it's outdated, and has no place in the modern world. Specifically because there's such a huge influx of these fast fashion brands from Europe and America now making their way to India, where the majority of the population is under 35 and easily influenced, right? But I do think that in other parts of the country where there is a growing, other parts of the world where there is a growing awareness about mindful consumption, sustainability when it comes to purchase decisions, that's coming to India. But given just how diverse we are, this is really just at the top 1% who have the means to be able to make those kinds of decisions, but not the rest of the population. So the Indian government does need to significantly invest in creating the perception about handmade as an aspirational sector, not just for people to consume from it, but also to encourage the next generation of artisans to take it up as a future trade, which is not happening right now, because most of them are choosing to go towards jobs which give them a reliable, sustained income, but that's gig jobs in the sense of becoming, you know, a delivery partner for a food delivery app or an Uber driver, because at least there's a guaranteed income that's coming to them. Suta, one of the enterprises that we featured in Business of Handmade, actually is tackling this by ensuring that women get a set price for the work that they do. And that money is directly transferred to their bank account within 48 hours of them handing over something, right? Which means that the artisans can actually plan ahead, which is very difficult to do because the prices are so, it fluctuates from place to place, market to market. So it's difficult for artisans to plan for their future in terms of how much can I put aside for XYZ? Can I pay my child's school fees? I need to buy uniforms. They don't have visibility into how much money is coming in. So one part is definitely educating the consumer about the potential of handmade, but I also do think that there needs to be significant investment in the infrastructure to facilitate handmade. Marketplaces form one part of that, and there are quite a few marketplaces right now, but all of those are e-com based, which makes it difficult for rural artisans who don't have, especially if we're talking about women artisans in India, most of them don't have access to their own mobile phones. There is one mobile phone per family, and that phone is usually held by the man. Because of COVID, even if there is a second phone which has been procured with great financial difficulty, that's going to go to the kids. Right? If they don't have sustained 24-hour electricity, charging the phone, having access to 3G, 4G becomes very difficult. So in addition to marketplaces, I think what definitely there needs to be an investment in terms of the infrastructure itself, allowing artisans to access resources, finances, helping them understand what it is that they need to do to actually compete in a global landscape, which currently is not happening, because I think that most of the artisan communities that we speak to, while they're proficient in their craft, don't have the resources or the visibility to understand what is selling. And forget globally, just in India, in terms of keeping up with market trends. So giving them access to those kinds of designers who will help refine their products before putting it out into a marketplace, whether that's because India itself, given our population strength, is a strong enough consumer base without necessarily having to look outside India. But what they're selling is not necessarily what the market wants. So I think part of it is educating the consumer about paying a higher price, educating them about slow living, handmade, slow fashion. And the other part is empowering the artisan sector itself by investing in infrastructure which allows it to meet the demands of the consumers without there being a friction, which currently exists, because there's a disconnect between what the consumer is willing to spend and what the artisan is able to produce.